has everyone been able to get into the platform and log in? I can see that we've got 24 teams on the account, and how many licenses? 23 license holders. So only looks like there's a couple of you on here at the moment. So I'll do it for Darcy and Kathy. I'll do it for your benefit. That's assuming that you are Darcy and Kathy and you're not logged in on someone else's Google account. So let me start at the kind of place where you land when you log in, which is the locker room. There's a whole load of different features in the locker room which I think are worth knowing about and worth kind of familiarising yourself with as you kind of use the coaching manual and get to kind of embed it in what you're doing from a coaching perspective. The kind of the locker room, if you like, is what we think of as the place where you organise stuff in the platform. So there's three kind of main parts to the platform. There's the locker room, there's the training ground, and there's the My Content area. Locker room is what we would say is organise. Training ground is where you find stuff, discover stuff, and My Content is where you create stuff. So kind of does three things really for coaches. So in locker room you'll have your club set up, which is Gretna FC. You'll have in your clubs and teams, you'll be able to go in and see which team you've been allocated to. So I assume that this is, yeah, that's you, Kathy. And then we must have, yeah, this one, 2015, Darcy. So when you look at yours, you'll see that it's got a green manage team function. So that means that you can go in and manage it. So I guess the first thing to look at for that is, for you, Kathy, same for you, Darcy. If you've got an assistant coach who works with, you can invite them in. So you can just add their email address in. So I'll just do a random one, and then it'll ask you to enter their first name and last name. So if you've got someone who's helping out, then it's worth adding them in, because having them in your team means that they can work with you on the same curriculum or same content, same sessions, whatever it is, however it is that you run what you do. I'm a grassroots coach as well. I coach at Altrincham. I coach an under 14 boys team, and I've never really been I'm not sure many grassroots coaches are kind of going off a curriculum. They're kind of trying to plan ahead as well as they can, but I'm really just about making sure that I'm giving them, the boys that I coach, variety, that I'm teaching them stuff that it would appear that they don't know from the evidence that I see in the games that they play. I do use a kind of rough curriculum guide with the season plan tool, but I'm like probably most grassroots coaches. I chop and change a bit, and I do things that I think is going to be useful for them in that particular week. But also by having my assistant coaches in there, it means that we all kind of can go to the session prepared, know what we're delivering, so that if we do need to kind of go and work, we've got a group of 16, so if there's 3 of us, it means that we've got a decent ratio of players. So you can add the coaches like that in the team. You can add the players, but I don't think we've done that with Gretna yet. We are building out player functionality, because what I know from working with my under 14s over the past few years is that if I give them a session before we go and do it, so if I let them watch the session and they have access to it and they watch it, then I know that it makes that session better because they come better prepared. But we're not at that stage yet with you guys, so don't worry too much about that. The other key thing in the locker, I guess, the next kind of key thing is the season plan tool. So again, some people have set them up. It's just a really simple tool, not necessarily to kind of shoehorn you into a curriculum. It's more about actually, well, the way I think of the season plan tool is it kind of guarantees that I'm going to teach a varied and broad football education to the kids that I work with. It kind of prevents me from getting stuck in a rut and teaching the same thing over and over again, or repeating the same session too often. The season plan is just a simple 7-step process. Pick the team that you're working with, fill in the questions that it asks you, so age groups and when it starts, so probably started a couple of months ago, when it ends, so probably sometime next year, and then when you train, for most grassroots it's just that one evening a week, and then when you play, and then you hit the build button and it just creates a plan for you that can sit there, act as a guide and support you throughout the season. But it just means that you don't have to do any planning, so you can kind of rely on the season plan to deliver you a good education, but you don't have to spend lots of time kind of trawling the internet looking for things, and you also don't have to think about the variety because it's already done that thinking for you. So we can see in this one, which is for, I guess, for young kids, ball mastery, dribbling, turning, short passing, so I'm assuming this is kind of 7-8 year olds, and then all the way through the season, just a different thing for them to focus on, but all related to the game. Obviously it's about teaching kids the right things. So season plans is a brilliant tool because it's a massive time saver. You can totally rely on it if you want, but as you kind of get more experience as a coach, you might want to kind of do your own stuff, bring your own sessions in, but it's always there for you, the season plan. So it's a brilliant tool. The next thing that I'm going to kind of go into is the folders, and this should be set up for you guys. So we've got, for the whole club, there's a whole bunch of folders which have kind of been organised to put information that's important into an easy to find system, and the folder system that we've created does that. So you probably won't see this club age phase training folder. You'll see something called development phase, foundation phase, or youth development phase, and these are broken down by ages. So anybody in the foundation phase should have that folder shared with them, so all the youngsters have got that, and within that folder is a whole load of different sessions, different practices, just ideas for you to kind of have a look at and then make a decision on whether or not you want to teach them to your players. So if I go to the under 8 folder, for example, there's a whole bunch of full sessions in there which are appropriate for under 8s, but also individual practices. I don't know if it's the same for you as it is for me at this time of year, but we go into kind of from the beginning of October, we go into a full winter program where we have 1 hour a week that's given to us by the club. I actually put an extra hour session on in a sports hall to give them a bit more kind of opportunity. But that hour is literally, I get onto an AstroTurf as another group's coming off. I have no time to set up. I have no kind of, I've got an hour, but in reality I've probably got 53 minutes because I've got to get on after the group have come off, and I've got to get off as the next group come in at 8 o'clock. But what this content does with the practices, it kind of says, well, if I'm just going to start with a game in a session, so just an arrival game, and they play 3v3 or 4v4, then I can just pick a practice and say, right, I'm going to do this for 20 minutes. My arrival game will probably be 10 to 15 minutes because latecomers always arrive, as late as probably 1:15. But then I can do a proper activity so that I'm actually teaching them something, and then obviously this time of year finish with a game because as the weather gets bad. Also in the folders there's a whole load of other information to help coaches, so there's a whole load of coach education information broken down into technical, physical, tactical, psychological and social, and within each of those folders is information relating to that particular theme. All of the game formats and formations is laid out, so useful as you transition through small-sided games, 5v5 to 7v7, 9v9, and then when they get to under 13s and you move into 11v11. Parent education is important to us, so there's lots of information there for parents. If you kind of parents are quite engaged with what you're doing and you want to give them information that's going to support them, then there's lots of articles that you can share with them, and most of the stuff in there is free, so parents don't need to pay for that. Also for players, lots of information for technical development, so one-to-ones, there's a whole one-to-one skills curriculum in there. If you're coaching your own child, then I would definitely recommend going and have a look at some of that stuff, because if you've got a bit of spare time in an evening with your own son or daughter, then you can use this content to deliver kind of one-to-one training. All the ball mastery is in there, so if you're new to coaching and you're not sure what the ball mastery skills are, you can go and watch a video and it'll show you what that ball mastery skill is. So in this case it's scissors, so there's a whole video there of a kid doing scissors and showing the technique. And also in the folder there's S&C work, so for the slightly older kids you've got lots of stuff for strength and conditioning. Again, this is all a full curriculum for S&C, really, for young footballers, that we put together with the head of S&C at Manchester United's academy, so really good stuff. Not sure if there's any new coaches here, but even for people who've been coaching for a year, lots of good information in here to help you kind of get up and running. Super simple practices. So if you've got a new coach who's joined you and you want to get them kind of on the field and delivering stuff, then some of these sessions are just dead easy for them to do, so they don't have to get too stressed out. I think we've all been there when we did our first session and weren't sure exactly what we were supposed to be doing. So that's the locker room. The favourite stuff is what you can do with content, and the calendar is where your season plan will be kind of laid out for you. So the next thing to look at is the training ground. Training ground it's a massive library of content in the coaching manual, so you've got more information in this platform than you're probably going to need in a lifetime of coaching. However, we do aim to support people from when they start coaching, even at the age of U5, all the way through to coaching open age group football. So the platform's vast in terms of the information, vast in terms of the sessions, and it's all inside the training ground. Now, I can filter different types of content by these kind of pre-built filters at the top, so I can go and look at all of the individual practices that we have. There's 16 practices a page, and there's 100 pages of practices, so there's 1,600 activities. But we have built some filters in here to help us kind of drill down into that information, so that we can find, fewer results, but still a huge library of content. This is all content that's got video attached to it, so it's stuff that I can watch, I can learn from, and that's really the kind of the crux of the coaching manual. We're not there, or we're not here to say, right, this is how you coach. We're just here to give people good examples of information that's being delivered on the pitch. So this creating space practice delivered by one of the guys who works with us, Martin, it's just a really good practice. Now you might watch that and say, well, it's a little bit too advanced for my players, but there might be one element of it that you take away from it. But ultimately you're going to watch a really highly qualified coach. Martin's a tutor on the pro license all over the world, you're going to watch and he's been a technical director at a Premier League football club, so you're going to watch a person with a huge amount of experience deliver football education, so that we can kind of, as an observer, I can use that information to try and improve what I do on the pitch. It's not that I copy what he does, but it gives me, certainly gives you lots of cues about, actually, there's a coaching point that I would never have delivered, because I probably would never have, I don't have that knowledge. But by watching Martin, by watching the videos in the session, you can pick up the information that you want to take out onto the pitch with you. You can also search for our kind of coaches in the platform. So if I use David Moyes as an example, seeing as his West Ham team have just been beaten, so we can go and look at, what does David Moyes do when he's coaching? What's he teach? What's his style like? How does he communicate with players? What sort of information does he give? A huge amount of knowledge, a huge amount of experience. We're very lucky to have this kind of quality and this level of information on here. But everything that we have in the platform is coaches with a high degree of professional training and a high degree of football experience. So stuff that we can all learn from, even if, like me, you have a reasonably decent football background, in that you've played the game for 20 odd years, which was the case with me before I started coaching my son's team. So Training Ground is a massive library. Just explore it. When you get into a piece of content, so if I go and look at this passing and receiving technical practice, if I want to keep that content for later, I can favourite it. I can also go and add that to one of my folders, so I could go and put that into one of the folders that's been created for the club, because I'm the admin. You can create your own folders. So all you need to do to create a folder is you create a new folder in there, call it my folder, store it in my home folders, create that, and then that's created, and I'm going to add that piece of content to that folder. I've favorited that content, so I can go and look at that later. I can also print that off, so it'll open up a print screen, and I can print that particular piece of content off. So going back to the folders quickly to just show you what that looks like from that side. I've got the My folder, should be in there now because I've just created that. That's the one. So I've got a new folder button on the home folders, but also I can create a new folder within another folder. So let's say I was going to look at something around attacking, so I can start to create subfolders within that. To get rid of that, I just drag that over onto this drag here to remove, and delete that folder, and then that gets cleaned out of the account. So Training Ground is where you go and discover things. Look, we all know that coaches are always pressed for time, so this is about kind of saving you the time of actually thinking about what to teach, but also giving you information to actually go and learn about, okay, if I'm going to do this session, what does it look like when it's done by somebody? What does it look like with the players? Can I use it? If it's a yes, then you've got that accessible, and if not, then you can go and find something else. My content is where you can create information. So a couple of sessions have been created here by the looks of it, just some examples. So you can, in my content, depending on look, I've been coaching for 7 years. I've never created a session. I've only ever used content from within the platform, but you can go and create sessions. If you're doing courses like C licenses, B licenses, there might be a requirement to create a session. So you can create that stuff in here. You can drag and drop players in and change colours and all that sort of stuff to just create sessions that kind of reflect what you want to teach. Now what I can use this for, and what I probably use it for more than anything, is just doing things like match day lineups and things like that. You can save that image, and then that just gets saved into your account, and then you can add those images into practices and into full sessions. So it's a really good, it's a really nice tool for people who are kind of quite experienced and working at that kind of level. What I do with this is I just create my own match reports. So create document allows me to just go and create an article in the site, and I can do whatever I want with that. I can kind of change the add headings in there. I can add images from my device, or I can add an image from the diagrams that I've created, and I can create a full article with bullet lists, numbered lists, drop downs, and I can also embed video in there as well if I want, so I can go and get embed codes. But that's quite nice. I use it for things like match reports. I use it for like little bits of information that I want to share with players, and I want to make sure that they're learning from. So that's kind of it from a coach's perspective. The other thing that I guess is probably quite important is that your own profile information sits in the top right. You can edit your profile, you can edit your name, you can edit your information on your account, so your password, your email address. You can kind of control all that stuff from in there. You can add your own images and add your own pictures into your personal account. So the edit profile stuff on the top right. Finally is the help section. So if there's anything that you're not sure about, there's lots of information in there to kind of help you find your way through the platform and get the information that you need. So any questions?
No, I haven't got any questions.